Of course, the big news yesterday, the president, this was a big one. The president said a whole civilization will die tonight. There was a deadline that was set for 7 o'clock. Then he pulled back about 90 minutes prior to that deadline because he said we are now in a ceasefire. So, of course, there's a lot to discuss there. Also, if you like some maybe fine dining or maybe you're just a foodie, there are a lot of us out here, especially in Minnesota. Some pretty big news as Michelin ratings will soon start popping up there, so we'll have to take you there and talk about that. And we also have something big for golfers. As the weather starts to warm up just a little bit, I feel like it's taking us a long time, but I digress. Golfers can really depend on Theodore Wirth in Minneapolis. I bet a lot of people will be out there for tee time. They are now taking those tee times. Just a sign of spring here. Again, as we're kind of trickling up, not really, but whatever. Speaking of spring, though, we'll also check in with Jarrett Piepenburg. He just popped in here for just a second. I imagine he's going back into the studio. We'll, of course, have to talk about the forecast. I believe we have some rain in the forecast, so you'll certainly want to hear about that. And finally, a big election night. This one in Wisconsin, the spring elections. As the Supreme Court there picks up another liberal judge, we have a lot to talk about in the state of Wisconsin. The voters going to the polls yesterday, of course, for the Supreme Court justice, but also some big races, local offices, had some pretty big races as well as some local referendums we'll want to talk about. So we'll speak with a reporter there at our sister station, Fox 6. His name is Jason Calvi. He'll join us within the next 2 hours. Okay, now we want to begin with that big news out of Iran and the news of the United States and Israel agreeing to a 2-week ceasefire with Iran. The 11th hour deal stopped just a threat from President Trump to unleash a bombing campaign to destroy Iranian civilization. But just hours after that announcement, Iran and other Gulf Arab countries reported some new attacks. So that's the new news that we're talking about today here. But it's not yet clear if those strikes would impact this deal of a ceasefire. And earlier this morning, we got an update from Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. The defense secretary called the operation an overwhelming victory. Let's take a listen.
More than 800 strikes, we finished completely destroying Iran's defense industrial base, a core pillar of our mission objective. What little they have left buried in bunkers is all they will have. They can still shoot, we know that. Their command and control is so decimated they can't really talk and coordinate, so they still may shoot here and there, but that would be very, very unwise. But they can no longer build missiles, build rockets, build launchers, or build UAVs. Their factories have been razed to the ground, set back in historic fashion. You see, had Iran refused our terms, the next targets would have been their power plants, their bridges, and oil and energy infrastructure, targets they could not defend and could not realistically rebuild. It would have taken them decades, and we were locked and loaded. They couldn't defend against it. President Trump had the power to cripple Iran's entire economy in minutes, but he chose mercy. He spared those targets because Iran accepted the ceasefire under overwhelming pressure. The new Iranian regime understood that a deal was far better than the fate that awaited them. This new regime just happened to look at what happened to their predecessors. Their top leadership was systematically eliminated.
Yeah, of course, that conversation lasting for quite a while this morning. I did take some notes that I just wanted to mention. So the secretary also went on to say that if Iran does not hold up this deal of a ceasefire, because that has been the big question as well, is what if they don't continue this deal and something else happens? Hegseth says that the force remains ready to resume combat, and he says that the U.S. will be, quote, hanging around to make sure that Iran complies. He also says that this new regime from Iran has led to just sort of a different conversation with the U.S. Trump, he says, chose mercy, and he said that the new regime understood that a deal was far better than the fate that awaited them.